Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to Vidyanagar Public School's online class. Ma'am, hope that all of you are safe and fine at home. Aren't you? Yes. Today, ma'am has come up with a very new chapter. Do you know the title of the chapter? Yes, walls tell stories. So you might be wondering how these walls can tell us stories. You might have heard stories told by your grandparents or your parents, right? Yes, so you might be wondering how these walls can tell us stories. So let's see how these walls can tell us stories, right?
Do you know what is a fort? Yes, a fort is a strong building with huge strong walls around it. And it is the place where sultans, ruling people, soldiers, and other people can live safe from their enemies. Today, today we are going to see a fort. And you want to know which fort we are going to learn? Yes, we are going to learn Golconda Fort. Golconda Fort. And you know where this fort is located? It is located in the western part of Hyderabad. That means in Telangana, the current Telangana state. It is where our Golconda Fort is situated. And this fort is having strong walls. Why did they build such a strong wall? Yes, for the protection, for getting security. Golconda is not just a single fort, but a fort complex. It is a fort complex. There are many forts inside that particular fort. It spreads around almost 11 square kilometers. Okay, surrounded by 10 kilometers long stone outer walls. And this particular fort is situated on a top of a hill, almost like 400 feet high hills. 400-foot high hills it is staying. So you can imagine how beautiful it would be. It is one of the magnificent fortress complex in India. It is one of the magnificent fortress complexes in India. We can say like that. It was originally a mud fort. It was actually a mud fort. But later, when our which Sultan do you know? Qutb Shahi Sultan. When his dynasty, not his dynasty, that dynasty is actually the dynasty of many rulers. When their ruling came, Qutb Shahi Sultan's rule came, they rebuilt this mud fort. And you know who is the main person behind this fortification? Kakatiya dynasty in the 13th century. He actually initiated to make this in a better way, or we can say from his dynasty onwards it became very strong. And Qutb Shahi dynasty, when it was 1518 to 1687, during this period there were so many rulers came one after the other. If we talk about the designs, the designing include both Hindu, Muslim architecture. We can see it is a mixture of this architecture of Hindu Muslim culture, divided into four separate forts. The building houses like mosque, inside that fort mosque are there, temples are there, tombs are there, stables where the horses are kept, and reservoirs, many reservoirs are there, big water tanks are there, like, and audience chambers, meeting halls, and there were magnificent gardens also were there. The fort is having big walls. The walls actually were raised up to 12 meters, and there are 87 bastions. Bastions were mounted to ensure security. Like, the you see this wall is having 12 meters height, and above that they are building these bastions. And So again the height of these walls is increasing actually. And do you know what is a bastion? You see, on the outer fort walls there are round shaped structures that is called bastions that are kept for what you know the that shows their artillery power. The kings and sultans kept soldiers in those places, and soldiers can see the approach of the enemies in through that place, you know. In those bastions, each bastions will be having a hole in it. Through that hole the soldiers can see whether any enemy is coming, or they can see far far more distant places, like they can see large area of land from a far distance they can see. So that will help them in preparing to meet these enemies. So this fort had 87 bastions, that means thick walls, a huge gate. So that means there were so many ways to ensure the security of that fort. And you see in these fort is having 8 gateways, you know, 8 gateways. Among these, Bala Hisar is the most important, that is the main entrance, you know, it is the main entrance. And you see how big the gate is. Above this entrance, we see beautiful carvings of both male, female lions and peacock. That animals are representing security and prosperity. As I said, inside this fort there are many palaces, and there are many gardens, fields, and it is said that there were factories too. So that means no it there no the no not only the sultans but many other people like farmers, workers must also have been living there, you know, at that time. They also would have been there with these sultan people. And you know, during that time also they were having two-storied buildings. And it is wonderful to know that they were having fountains on the terrace, and big water reservoirs, water tanks they had. So you might be wondering how would the fountains have worked. Fountains would have got water supply from the large tanks, okay. And you might be thinking how these people would be getting light and air, right? You see, there were so many large windows, doors for the ventilation. There were big ventilations would have been there, would have been made by these people in order to get good air and good light, okay. And you saw in the entrance how beautifully they have carved. How would they, which kind of tools they would have used? They would have used chisels, hammers and all, yes, right. And you know, they have used cannons. Cannons is a kind of gun used during that days. Where did they keep these cannons? You know, they keep these cannons in the terrace, like bastions. We discussed bastions, no? In that place there is a raised platform, there they keep these cannons. Whenever they need that they'll use it, okay. So today we saw how Golconda fort is built, and how they made this fort so protective from enemies by building strong wall, fort walls, right? And how they build bastions, and the kind of things inside this fort, like gardens, fields, palaces also, many palaces were also there. And we saw they were having water reservoirs, a fountain on the terrace. All these things we saw. We will continue with this chapter in the next session, okay. Till then, take care. Here is your homework. Write a small paragraph about your experience of visiting any monument, okay. Taj Mahal, Red Fort, any monument that you have visited. Write in a paragraph, okay. See you guys in the live session.